Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our latest SmartShip webinar, and welcome along. Just to introduce myself firstly, my name's Neil Rose, and I'm a product consultant here at Bluebridge One, and I work on our range of suite apps, of which SmartShip is one. That's my role in the business. And what we're going to be looking at today is I'll be showing you what SmartShip does and how you can use it to connect your NetSuite account to your shippers' systems, with a particular sort of focus on exporting and some of the issues that SmartShip can help you with. We've got 30 minutes for the session today, and there'll be some time for questions at the end. So if you have a question, there's on the webinar screen, you'll see towards the top left there's a QA button. So if you go to that button, and then you'll be able to post any questions there. We'll get to those at the end, and if there's any we're not able to answer, we'll follow up separately after the call. We're also, just so you know, we're recording this session as well. So again, the recording will be available if you want to review that later. So I'll press on. Just very briefly, just a little bit about Bluebridge One for those of you who don't know much about us. We're a very long established and experienced NetSuite partner in the EMEA region. We've been going now nearly 18 years, in fact, and we've worked with hundreds of customers over that time. We've got a range of awards we've received from NetSuite, including the 5-star award for the last 7 years in a row, and we're the only partner in the EMEA region to have achieved that. And just finally in this section, just a couple of things that are particularly relevant to SmartShip is we're a member of the Suite Cloud Developer Network that's run by NetSuite, and also SmartShip is accredited by NetSuite and has the built for NetSuite accreditation, which is something a process we go through twice a year to retain that accreditation with NetSuite. So that's a bit about us, and now a bit more specifically about SmartShip. Again, for those of you who haven't seen it before, it's a suite app that you can install into your account via a bundle, and it connects NetSuite to your shipper's system. So takes away that need to manually enter data into a shipper system that you already have in NetSuite. And amongst the things it does, it prints labels and forms, things like delivery notes at the click of a button, and I'll show you all that in a moment. And it also saves tracking data into the appropriate records in NetSuite. It handles all the customs clearance required, and again, I'll explain all that in a moment, how that works. And we work with all the major carriers in the UK and Europe. In terms of our customers, so we introduced SmartShip 4 years ago, and the customer base has been growing steadily since that time. We've got a range of customers in lots of different sectors, and it's now SmartShip is now handling many tens of thousands of shipments a day for those customers. If you want to find out a bit more about their experiences, we've got some case studies that we can share. So there's 3 customers there who we've worked on those case studies. So again, if you'd like to receive those, then please say drop a question in via the QA panel on the webinar, and we can share that information with you. Regarding the shippers we work with, we have 2 types of integration, and we have direct integration with these shippers with their systems. So this is a growing list, and actually we've very recently, just in the last few weeks, brought in DX and TPN, the pallet network. So those are our direct integrations, and we also have another type of integration, which is on the next slide. Which is with GFS, which stands for Global Freight Solutions, and with Ship Theory. So they're services in their own right that you'd subscribe to, and they give us access through SmartShip to a whole range of other shippers. And there are some say some pretty niche ones on there, but also some very familiar names there, like Royal Mail, Yodel, and Hermes, for example. So as you can see, a very wide range of shippers are available with SmartShip. Just very briefly, in terms of the benefits, probably the key benefit, I think, is the time you can save if you're not having to manually enter data into a shipper's system that you already have in NetSuite, whether that's literally typing it into a portal or copying and pasting data saved from an item fulfillment record. So fairly significant time savings to be had there. And there's just a scenario we've put up there just to illustrate that. But also it covers all the export requirements and all the things you need to do for paperless trade and commercial invoices and things like that. And again, I'll show you all that in a moment or two. It's compatible with RF Smart PackStation. We've got several customers using that, using PackStation and SmartShip in the same process. That's working very well. It's also compatible with the NetSuite WMS for picking, and we're currently working on extending that to the packing side of the NetSuite WMS. And it also works in both a standard NetSuite account and a OneWorld account. And I'll give you a demonstration in a moment. And actually, the test account I use is actually a OneWorld account, so it'll work fine in either of those. So without further ado, I'll get on and actually show you what NetSuite can do. And I've got a test account here that NetSuite have provided us. So sometimes the response times on these accounts are rather slow. So if you just bear with me if that happens, and it's certainly not representative of what you'd expect to see in the production account. So I created, just before we started, I just created this sales order. And it's a fairly standard one, nothing particularly unusual in it. There's just there's 6 items on it, two different items, one with 2, one with 4. And if I go to the shipping tab, it's actually being shipped to an address in France. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fulfill the sales order, and this is the process if you're fulfilling sales orders one at a time in your dispatch area. There's also a way to process a bulk quantity of fulfillments, and I'll show you that as well in a moment. But this is the sort of if you're doing them one at a time. So we'll call up the item fulfillment form. So again, a pretty standard item fulfillment form, other than this button here. So this button here, the Save and SmartShip button, that's added in by the SmartShip bundle. So we make SmartShip available as a bundle, which you'd install into your account, and it adds this button in here. And also, if I go to the shipping tab, it's added in a number of fields here which are relevant to SmartShip. So we've got the SmartShip service. So this is I've configured this account to send anything to France with DPD. We've now got the weight. So that weight is derived from adding up the weight of the items, taking that weight from the item records, the package count. So both of those fields are editable. So if they're incorrect for any reason, they can be changed at this stage. There's a checkbox here which will be ticked when the label is printed, and also we've got a ship instructions box. If there's any special instructions, like leave with neighbor or whatever, they can be added in there, and they would be pulled in actually from the sales order. We've also got the shipment reference and the tracking link, which will be populated after I've made this booking with DPD. So what I'll do now, I'll click the Save and SmartShip button, and what that's going to do, that's going to book this shipment on with DPD, and it's going to print the label out. And I'm actually set this up for the label image to appear on the screen, so you can see it. Obviously, in a normal operational environment, and that there's a label, that label would print directly out onto your label printer. There's no manual intervention required to make that happen. It will just automatically come out. And there we are. So that's there's the label. And if we go back now to the item fulfillment, And if I go to the shipping tab, we'll see that that label printed box has now been checked, and we've got the tracking link now down here. So that that is a live link to DPD's tracking site. So and also this link is also saved on the sales order. So if I'll just open that sales order in another tab so you can see that. If we go here, and there's the tracking link there. So that obviously, if you're getting inquiries from your customers asking where their goods are, then that could be a really useful feature to very quickly get to that tracking data from the shipper. And also, it may be if you have, you may send emails out, for example, to your customers when items are shipped, and you can include that data in your email templates. So obviously this was a shipment to France, so an export, and you'll note all I've done is print that label. So all I've done there is the label. I haven't needed to print any other documentation, such as a commercial invoice. And the reason for that is that SmartShip takes care of all of that that side of the export compliance process for you, and it gathers up all that data that's needed for an export and sends it, in this case, to DPD when the booking is made. So they deal with all that at their end. And I'll just show you where it gathers that data from. So it comes from a number of sources. So if I go back to the fulfillment, see there's a couple of items. So I've got one of the item records open here. This one for this this power supply. So what SmartShip does, it pulls the description of this item, so it's going to pull it from that field there, and that can be changed. If you hold that that information on it in another field, SmartShip can be configured to use that field. And for example, on this one, I've created excuse me, I've created a custom field here, which I've called customs description. So you could configure SmartShip to pull that information from that field for the item description. Also on this tab, again, in the way this account is configured, I've got down here the manufacturer country. So again, that's a piece of mandatory data again that's needed for each item on an export. So again, it's going to look there in that field for that piece of data. And if I go now to the sales pricing tab, I've got the item weight there of 0.25 kilos. So again, that would be sent to DPD. And then finally on the item record, again in this account on the tax reporting tab, I've got the commodity code or HS code. And again, that's another thing that's required for each item in an export shipment. So that's the data pulled off the item record. There's also other data that's gathered together when I've clicked that Save and SmartShip button. And the next one is on the company information. As I say, because I'm using a One World account, this is actually on the subsidiary. If it was a standard account, this would be on the company information. And there's again a SmartShip tab here that's added in by the SmartShip bundle, so I can store the EORI number for this company here, and also the IOSS or Import One Stop Shop number here. So again, if you have an IOSS number, again, that can be stored there and that can be pulled in and sent to the shipper to support that booking. And then finally, on the customer record, again, the test I was doing here, the test transaction was to a company, and actually the company, so this was the test company, XYZ Limited, and they actually have their own EORI number. So again, I've stored that on their customer record, and that's also sent to DPD as part of the data set to create that booking. So it covers all of the data, and therefore there's no requirement to print any documents to support that export, because that's all taken care of by the in this case by DPD, and it's a very similar process is available for most of our shippers. Now, I know some customers will have actually their existing forms that they use in in NetSuite to print off commercial invoices and things like that. And actually, SmartShip can work with those. Also, in the sort of a paperless trade or electronic trade scenario, where SmartShip is able to upload those forms to the shipper. So again, there would be no need to print them out. It would just upload the form directly to the shipper's system. Okay, so that was the process for fulfilling sort of one order at a time. I mentioned there's also a tool you can use with SmartShip to generate a bulk of labels, a number of labels in one go. So I'll now just show you that. So on the transaction menu here, I've got a SmartShip section, and this page here called Process SmartShip Shipments. So what we've got here, essentially two parts to this screen. We've got down here a list of fulfillments that are ready to be shipped. So a reasonably long list there to a number of destinations. And up here are a series of filters. And so you can essentially expand or contract this list here by setting these filters. And so you've got things like dates, the shipping locations. If you're shipping from more than one location, you can use that as a filter. And you can also create your own custom filters here. So if the ones that we have here, so these kind of the built-in ones that we provide with SmartShip, then it should be possible to create custom filters if these don't quite cover the your requirements. And what you would do here, you'd click Mark All. And then process, and that would book on all of these shipments in one go, and then all of the labels will come out for those particular shipments. But I won't do them all because it does take a little while. I'll just unmark that, and I'll just do a couple of them just to give you an idea of how it works. So I'll just pick a couple. Let's do these two. So a couple here to Australia. And so once you've clicked process, it's going through exactly the same process we saw with DP. It's done a lot quicker this time, actually. So if I go back to here, so we've got a DH, this time it's DHL. So we've got a DHL label here to an address in Australia, and there's the second label for the second shipment. But also, I've actually set this account up to produce a print off a form as well. So I've got it to produce an invoice for each of those shipments. So it's there and there, and in fact, this account I've set up to do these two labels. I've set up to not use paperless trade or electronic trade. So if there are situations where you do need to physically print out, say, 3 copies of a commercial invoice and attach those and send those with the goods, then again, SmartShip can also support that process as well. So that's essentially the other way of doing an export, say, without using that paperless process. So that's what SmartShip does and how it can help you with export. So I'll just pop back to the presentation just to finish off. So just in terms of the costs, the license, the annual license for SmartShip is $899 per shipper. The slight variation on that is with our integrations we have with GFS and with Ship Theory, where the first license with GFS is $899 per year, and then any subsequent licenses are $699. So, for example, if we were using GFS or Ship Theory for, say, Royal Mail, Hermes and Yodel, then you'd pay $899 for the first license for Royal Mail, and then $699, 2 lots of $699 for the other two. There's an optional managed setup service that we provide to set up, test, and install the system for you, and there's a one-off cost of that of £500 per shipper, and the process in terms of setup usually takes about a couple of weeks in terms of getting it, installing it, testing it, and then going live. So it doesn't take too long to get up and running with SmartShip. Just in terms of the return on that investment, earlier on I sort of gave a rough idea of the savings in terms of time that can be made. So we have a return on investment calculator that we use, and we can again make this available for you. So again, if you'd like to go through this with us, please again drop a note in the QA panel. But in this scenario, this is a fairly typical scenario here, where this customer's got two licenses, one with DPD, one with DHL. They're doing say 40 shipments a day with DPD, 20 with DHL. The staff cost of the people having to do that manual data entry into the shippers' systems it's around £10 an hour, and that adds up to a saving of almost £6,000 a year in that scenario. So just to wrap up, so we've had a look at SmartShip and how that connects NetSuite to your shipping carrier systems and getting rid of that need to double enter data. I've shown you how it can generate shipping labels and also print forms just by clicking a button. We've looked at the tracking data that gets saved in NetSuite and the sales order and item fulfillment records. We've looked at the customs clearance requirements and both the paperless trade method of doing it, where you don't have to print anything out, but also I've shown you how you can print a commercial invoice or other forms such as delivery notes or packing slips if you need to do so. So if you'd like to find out more and if you'd like to sort of look at this in a bit more detail with us, then we'd be very happy to do that. So if you either visit our website on that address there, or if you email us at smartship@bluebridge1.com, and we'll be very happy to do that. So just before we wrap up, I don't think there's any questions yet, but I'm just going to check. So if you've any questions, please put them in now. I'll just give it a minute or two, or if not, we'll wrap up. So I'll just stay on the call now till for another few minutes. But unless there are any questions, thanks very much for your time. Okay, I have a question about the pricing, and I think so. The pricing I've just gone through just there is our current pricing. So it's possible that you may have perhaps an older version of that, but I'll be happy to the person who's put that on, I'll be happy to pick that up with you afterwards to just to confirm that for you. Okay, we've got a question about the invoicing. Just reading it, so if you just give me a moment. Yeah, so the question is the SmartShip invoice editable? It's essentially yes. So the example I used there on the when I got that form to pop up was just one of the built-in forms in NetSuite, but you can certainly develop your own forms again, which are specific to your particular requirements. I mean, there's obviously there's the advanced PDF templates you can use, and then there's the more sort of more basic forms. So there's more than one way of doing that. Sorry, I've got a question about FedEx and MSP, which I'll have to take that one offline, if that's okay, just to find out more about that for you and answer that question. A question about DHL. Sorry, it's unfortunately I can't read the whole question. I do apologise. I'm going to try and just get so I can see all of it. Yeah, proof of deliveries. At the moment, sorry, this is a question about can we integrate with DHL to get automatic proof of deliveries? Not at the moment, no. So at the moment, the only communication we have with the shippers, so DHL, for example, is to pull in that tracking link. It is actually something that's on our development roadmap to bring in further information such as proof of deliveries, but that's not available yet, I'm afraid. And there's another question about the invoice. I think a follow up to the earlier one. Again, I'd have to probably best if I take that with you directly offline, actually, because that's about different values, like an invoice value and a customs invoice value and an actual value. So probably something is best if we answer that for you offline, if that's okay. Okay, right. I'll wrap up at that point. And again, thanks very much for your time today. As I say, there'll be a recording of this will be available to review. So please let us know if you'd like to see that. And as I say, we'll work through these questions. The one I haven't been able to answer just now, and we'll get those answered for you. And we'll have another webinar. This is our second one. We'll be doing these reasonably regularly. So if you keep your eyes open, there'll be another email coming out probably in a month or two. With another webinar about a particular aspect of SmartShip. So great. So thanks very much, everybody, and I'll hopefully see you all again soon. Thanks.